everybody, welcome back. Thanks for following along with us as we build our retirement dream home Barndominium. In this video, we'll be featuring a closer look at Dave working on the fascia and soffits.
Hey everybody, so today we're going to be working on installing the boards for the soffit and getting some soffit up. And as you can see, the way those trusses sit on top of those posts, we're going to have to notch our boards. So all these posts are 10 foot on center, and so we'll notch our boards accordingly so that they fit up tight enough to get the soffit level. When we get down to this end, we'll box this corner, and we'll kind of show you how to do all that. And that's going to be a longer board. That's going to be a 12-foot board to be cut down to about 11 and a half, I guess, when we all said and done. So let's get started. Okay, so this is our first nailer for our soffit, and it'll reach out past the corner of the building and tag onto the fly rafter. I've already went ahead and cut it to length at 131 or 138 and a half. So from there, I need to cut a clearance knot for the truss, where the truss hangs down over, and I've measured that out. On both sides, it runs from about, I cut a notch from 21 to 25. And so I'll mark that. And we'll cut about 1 3/4 out of here. On both sides. And this isn't exact, but it's just a clearance notch. Anyway, let's take this out there and put it on. So I screw a temporary block onto the post to hold the opposite end up while I set these in place, and I leave it with 1 inch or so of gap there so that if there is something that interferes, it'll still hold it till I can get to that end and deal with it. Doing stuff like this is kind of a pain by yourself, but sometimes with 2 people it's not any better, because you know they can't really be at the other end. You know, they're stuck in the bucket with you. So sometimes it works out just as easy to do it by yourself. So in the meantime, we're going to take this opportunity to cut these corners off these trusses. I didn't realize it when I was putting the trusses together before I put them up that this was going to be in the way. I thought that there would be a taller fascia board that would come down. I did think about it, but I thought there'd be a taller fascia board, and I didn't really investigate it too much. So since there's not, we've got to cut this off flush on all of them down through there, and it's not a real big deal, but it's something that you should do while you have them on the ground, where it's convenient, where you don't have to worry about getting sparks on everything you've got around you. So anyway, we're going to take this opportunity to catch that up. So getting the board up was the first step, and the next step is to put the F channel on the bottom, which makes for the receiver for the soffit and for the top of the siding. So I've got one I've cut as a pattern, and then I lay it on top of a new piece each time. And I've got to cut an inch off of it. The building's set up for 15-inch soffit. They know that's what it's going to be, and still they cut it at 16 inches, and you got to go through and cut every one. And I didn't really realize this, that every single piece of tin on this is going to have to be cut. They just kind of round it off. And so I've got a Swinson shear coming. You know, I'll use it if I feel like I would use it again. I'll keep it. Otherwise, I'll sell it when I'm done. I never feel like I go wrong buying something over renting it. Then the next step is to mount your soffit up there and then cover it with your fascia. And doing this end first so I can get the camper in here. So what I worked on yesterday was kind of proving out how I wanted to do the soffit, making sure everything balanced and worked right, looked right, was secure. The reason that I did all this yesterday was this camper was inside the building, and we wanted to move it out of here so we can get ready for the plumbers. And so the best way to do that was just to get this soffit done, and then I don't need it out of the way again for quite a while. They should be able to do the concrete and everything with it here. So that's kind of why I jumped ahead a little bit, and I'm getting the soffit up And while I'm in the middle of that task, I'm going to just keep right on going down. Okay, so that's kind of how I do it. Then basically face should come down here, this will be wrapped, soffit will be under here, and I'll kind of detail that later.
We hope you like this video. Please leave a comment for us and also hit that like button. It sure helps us out.
So what we've got here, we're going to slip this over. I've got a 1-inch bend there on the end to go around the corner. Okay, so that bend goes around the corner and then that'll be hidden by the rest of the fascia as it comes down on the gable end. Now let's work on our ridge here on this hip that we're above. So I've got a couple pieces of ridge that I need to put on my hip here. So this is 11 inches wide. See that or not? About 11 inches wide. So we'll go down 5.5 inches. Make a mark. You may not be able to see it on my square, but so what you got there is a 90 for the outside corner. So that's the outside, and this one will be the inside. One thing that we'd done is left certain parts of the framing out just for this purpose only. And as you have probably noticed that as far as in the series, this video is a little out of order. You've probably already seen other things done past this point, but we wanted to kind of go back and catch this up and kind of demonstrate how we'd left the framing out until all this kind of work was done. Anyway, sure glad that we did, because of having all the rain that we've had this spring and early summer. Sure would have made it tough to have this machine out on the outside of the building. So I want to take a minute and detail how I finished this out. I had made a comment earlier that I bent like an inch of this over, of this fascia. So I cut it and I bent it over, and it actually goes behind here. So what I did was I had my fascia on the front without this screw. I bent on the brake, I bent some aluminum, about 8 inches with a 2-inch L. And then I just cut it and wrapped it around, and then I slid this right here between this and this, just under this and over this. And you know, on a metal building like this, detail's not as refined as what you might find around a door or a window on a house. You know, it's a little rougher construction, but this way everything sheds water, everything's covered, there's no access for anything to get in there, and then my fascias, or my soffits up in there, and there's my fascia. So hopefully that kind of details how I finished out these corners. That doesn't mean it's right, of course. It just means it's the way I did it. And they didn't have, their fascia that came with it was not tall enough to do this with their fascia, or I would have used it. I didn't have anything against their materials or aluminum being better or anything like that. It was just the spread, and I had the aluminum rather than going and having them bend some special fascia for me to do this with. I just used the aluminum in my brake that I have, and that's what I did. So hopefully that helps a little bit, helps detail it all. And if you have any questions, just hit us up in the comments.
We hope you hang around and check out this next video.